Hi sewers, welcome to Sew Darn Fun. My name is Carrie and this is a channel all about quality clothing alterations, pattern reviews, and useful sewing how-tos. Today we're going to tackle the elusive jean zipper. It might be easier than you think. Okay, so let's get started. This blue fabric is going to represent my skirt or my pant. So this is my fake garment. I finished off the seam allowances before I sewed up the seam up until where my zipper should be starting. Finishing that off is optional. If you typically don't finish your seam allowances, then don't do it. But if you do finish them off, you can use a serger or a zigzag. We're going to need a piece of fabric that is 4 inches wide and 1 inch longer than what you want your zipper opening to be. Now my zipper opening is 6 inches, so my 4-inch piece of fabric is going to be 7. This piece of fabric is going to be called the zipper shield. I'm doing these in different colors in case it helps to differentiate the different pieces. Now we need another piece that's half as wide as this one. So this is 2 inches wide and the same length. So it's 7 inches long. And I finished off one long edge. That's all we need finished on that one. And here's my zipper. See what's wrong with my zipper? It's way too long, which is typically my problem. I need to shorten this zipper. And I did this on purpose so that I can show you the process of shortening it, because you might run into that. I have a mark right here. That's how long I need my zipper teeth to go to. So that's the 6-inch mark from the top of the zipper tape here to right there. And that will fit in my zipper opening. But I want the fabric, the zipper tape, to be longer than what my zipper needs to be. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to make my zipper about 1 inch longer, kind of like my zipper shield and my zipper facing, 1 inch longer than I actually want my zipper itself to be. So there's the mark. Get a pair of scissors that are not your best scissors. Do not use your best scissors. You know which ones I mean. And I'm going to carefully snip. I'm sacrificing my zipper, you guys. Snip, and then you can kind of get between the teeth. This is a metal zipper. If you have a nylon or a plastic zipper, depending on what kind of coils or teeth they have, you might be able to just cut right through it, especially if it's a fine zipper. This is metal, so we're just going to be kind of careful. It's hard for you to see, but I'm actually going between those teeth. I don't want to unzip the zipper or I'll never be able to get that zipper pulled back on. So do not unzip the zipper at this point. Probably going to fast forward through this so you don't have to watch me struggle. All right, finally came apart. Now at that mark right there, I'm going to take a needle and thread and I am just going to go round and round these teeth. Round and round. Probably 4 or 5 times. Just going to keep that zipper pull from coming off. All right. Now you can unzip and it stops right there. Fancy little trick. All right. So once again, we have our zipper, which is the correct length, our zipper facing, and our zipper shield. So let's get all the stuff out of the way that we're not going to be working on for right now. We're going to use the zipper shield first, and we're just going to fold this in half, long ways, and press it. So I'm going to finish this long edge, these 2 raw edges together. I'm going to finish it on my serger, and then I'll be right back. And here we go. Like I said, you can zigzag that if you don't have a serger. That will work just as well. So we're going to turn this around this way. So I've got the finished edge to the left and the fold to the right. And I'm going to position my zipper right there. Top edges are even, and I'm going to line up this left edge. Now the zipper that we are making is going to be a right-hand access, so it'll be easier to zip with your right hand. You can do it the opposite way if you want left-hand access. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stitch this fairly close to the zipper teeth, about 3/8 inches in from top to bottom. Before I do that, we need to take away these zipper teeth. I forgot this part. Okay, so before we do everything else, I have these nippers. You can probably use like wire cutters or something. And I just cut them in half and they just pop right off. They do go flying, so you have to pick them up off the floor. So I'm just gonna snip these off all the way up. All right, it's finally done. And here's my zipper with the teeth removed. And that's what it's gonna look like. So my first step is I'm going to take my zipper facing. Oops, I mean zipper shield. I get the names confused. And I'm going to line up the edges and stitch that down. Here it is ready to go. Don't forget your zipper foot. You're going to be changing that out from your zipper foot to regular foot quite often during this procedure. So let's get this stitched down. Now that we've finished that, we're going to set that aside for now, and we're going to take our garment, and you need to figure out which one is the right side. It's confusing looking at it this way. If I was wearing this, this is going to be my right side. See, this is going to be my right side. So this is what we're going to work on at the moment. Turning it right sides down, and this portion of the seam allowance, we're going to turn it back just 1/4 inch. Now I use 3/8 inch seam allowances, so 1/4 inch is less than this seam allowance, and there's a reason why. If you use a 5/8 inch seam allowance, then press it back 1/2 inch, just 1/8 inch less than what your seam allowance is. So this portion is going to kind of fold back slightly along this seam allowance here. See, I can pull it out. It's going to fold back just ever so slightly on it. So let's press that 1/4 inch. The reason for this is that it helps the fly to overlap so the zipper doesn't show. So this portion here should have a little bit of the seam allowance just poking in front of the opening right there. That's what it's supposed to be. I hope I explained that clearly enough. Now what we're going to do is take our zipper assembly, is what we're going to call it, and we're going to poke it underneath there and put this folded edge right alongside the teeth. Let's pin that. Top edge is even. Maybe you can see under here just how this seam allowance is kind of, kind of rolled out a little bit. There, can you see that? A little bit better. This portion right here. There. All right, and we're going to stitch with our zipper foot like 1/16 of an inch, just close to that folded edge. Now we can stop this stitching as soon as we get to where the opening is at. Right here. We don't have to go all the way down. All right, here's what we've just done. And that's how it's gonna lie. Now it's time for our red piece. This one is going to go on this edge here. So this one, we're gonna stitch on with our normal seam allowance, and we're gonna go down as far as we can. It's probably gonna hit that stitching right there, and that's where we'll stop. So let's take this to the machine. Now we can do a switcheroo of our presser foots. Put on your regular one. I've got to adjust my needle, so don't forget to put your needle back in the middle. So, okay, and my seam allowance once again is 3/8 of an inch. Yours might be 5/8. So you can see I stopped right there as I met the stitching that stitched the rest of my garment. Okay, now this is what we have. What are we going to do with this red thing here? Let's press it, and then we're going to press it underneath. So now's a good time, especially if you're doing like a jean zipper rather than just a skirt or something else, to top stitch through these layers right here, which is what I like to do when I do jeans. That way it just really keeps the facing from rolling out, or you could understitch it by just catching these layers here. But I'm just going to top stitch through all layers before I move on to the next step. Oh good, I get to keep my regular presser foot on here. I'm going to start from the opening. That's a little far. I really want it to be only about 1/8 of an inch. Might be a little far at the bottom. I'm trying to reach around a camera here so I don't get the right angle to see how far I'm doing oftentimes. So, okay, there we go. Of course, you're going to use a nicer thread. I'm trying to use things so that you can see. If you used the same color, it really wouldn't show. All right, so this is what we just did. You're going to ignore the fact that it's a little farther away down here. Like I explained, I was trying to crane my head around the camera, and I didn't start as close to the folded edge as I would have liked to. But if I did it in the same color blue, it really wouldn't show. Just like on jeans, if you use a blue, or it won't really show. So after we do this, what we want to do is take some pins and pin this as you want it overlapped, which is going to be just barely over this portion here. So take this here, pin it, just catching that top layer. I don't think we want it to go all the way through. Just a couple pins is all we need. Okay. Now we need to figure out, what are we going to sew the zipper to? We need to sew the rest of this zipper tape to something. We don't want it to be the yellow or the cream colored piece. We want it to be to the red. So we want to fold everything away except your zipper and this red piece. And being that you've pinned the outside, everything is pretty stable and isn't going to be moving around. So this is where we want our zipper tape. So just to make sure it doesn't move anymore, I'm going to just pin that on in a couple places. One thing that I always got confused about in my earlier days of sewing zippers is this portion here that kind of always wants to V out. I was always trying to make it go straight up. Just let it V out. That's what it wants to do. And it's not showing. So it will be fine. So what we're going to do now is take it to the machine. We're going to stitch along the zipper teeth, but it doesn't have to be too close. In fact, a lot of these zipper twills, you can see there's like little lines. You can just pick one of the line that's closest and just stitch along that. All right, time for that zipper foot again. So I'm going to pop that off. Put on my zipper foot. I'm going to position my needle to the left this time. And I'm going to start at the bottom of the zipper, making sure everything is folded out of the way. I only want this red layer and my zipper tape. Okay, so this is what we just sewed, the red. You see how it veers off like that? Don't worry about it. All right. Here, look, we have it. Here's our zipper. But the last thing that needs to be done is that iconic stitching that goes along here. Make sure this is folded out of the way. In fact, I'm going to pin it. I can't tell you how many times I've actually left that going underneath the rest of the zipper for this portion, and that is not what we want. We want it out of the way. When we're done with everything, then we'll put it back over. But for right now, we don't want it in the way, and we need to draw a line here. So we're going to do about 1 inch from that center front. I'm just going to draw a line down. And then where our zipper teeth end, right here, I can feel it through the top, is right about the bottom of that stitching. So we just want to go just below that because we don't want to stitch through those metal teeth. That's ugly. Break a needle. So we're going to curve that up a little bit. All right, we're going to make sure that this isn't wiggling around, that it's flat like that. In fact, let's put some pins in there to make sure. And then we're going to take it to the machine once again. Time to change that zipper foot. So we're going to put the regular one on, and we're going to center our needle. There we go. Starting at the top here. Making sure everything is nice and flat underneath. All right, here's what we've just done. I'm just going to do 1 row of stitching, but oftentimes the jeans will have 2 rows of stitching. So feel free to go back and about 1/4 inch away stitch on the outside and then end right there at the center. So now we can unpin our zipper shield and fold it over because this, oh, I see I caught it at the bottom. Okay, see what I did? Yeah, that's not what we want. Okay, so I just went over a tiny bit too far. Caught the shield. Okay, I'm not going to go back and fix that. You just kind of understand what's going on. All right, so now the zipper shield is in place. This is the point where you can go through all the layers, and on pairs of jeans sometimes you see this zigzagging, this bar tack right along here, that is what tacks all these layers together. But you see these are still raw, so one more thing before I do that, I'm going to serge all of this mess together to finish off this. I'll be right back, and then you'll get to take a look at it. Okay, as promised, here's what it looks like. I've just serged them all together. You can zigzag them if you want. You could just leave them raw if you want, but I just kind of like them finished off, and these threads up here drive me crazy. All right, so what I want to do is right down here, go through all these layers and do a little bar tack. I'm going to get rid of this chalk line there. Okay. So right about right here. Let's go do that. So today I'm going to do a zigzag for this bar tack, and I've got my stitch length set to a 1 and my width is a 1.5. So I'm going to just pick a portion along this curved line and just start stitching through all the layers for about 1/2 inch, maybe a little less. I'm going to go backwards. You could set your stitch length at a 1/2, but I just didn't want it so dense right now, so I just went back and forth. So now we've got our bar tack on there. It keeps the zipper shield positioned behind the zipper so you don't zip up your skin. Ouch. So here we go. Here's our zipper. Look at that. It's really not that hard. There's just a few steps to remember. There's a good overlap right there. Nice and neat on the inside, and then it is ready for you to put on your waistband in this area up here, or whatever you're going to do to finish off that upper edge. Wow, that was so quick and easy. I just want to play with this zipper for a little bit. Well, I hope you have fun. Look at that. Pretty cool. And you can do it. Now, is that easier than you thought it would be? Thank you for joining me today on So Darn Fun. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notification of future videos. Check out my playlist. There might be something there that would be useful for you. Until I see you again, have fun sewing.